Insurance fraud in the UK is reaching epidemic levels, and it's costing us billions of pounds every year. Deliberate crashes, bogus personal injury claims, even fake deaths. The fraudsters are risking more and more to make a quick killing. And every year, it's adding up to £50 to your insurance bill. Insurers are fighting back, armed with covert surveillance systems.
The CCTV cameras are the best tool we've got in our fight against fraud.
Sophisticated data analysis techniques.
This is connected to a bank account and a second mobile phone number.
And a newly formed dedicated police unit.
Please get back!
They're catching the criminals red-handed. All those con men, scammers, cheats on the fiddle, now they're caught in the act, and claimed and shamed. Today, a specialist police fraud unit is on the hunt for fake pet insurance claims. A crash for cash gang pick a big victim.
And the infectious brake, yeah, got it.
And an insurer is taken for a ride.
This is a guy who claims that he'll never be able to work again and is in pretty well constant pain.
All of these collisions are crash for cash attempts. Crash for cash is a term given to collisions executed in order to make money from motor insurance policies. And it's rife. A recent poll found that 5% of drivers under the age of 35 have staged an accident in order to make a fraudulent insurance claim. But crash for cash is not an opportunistic crime. It's organised, often by gangs. Simply slamming on the brakes in front of a victim would attract suspicion, so the crash gangs have evolved a devious two-car tactic. First, the gang choose a victim. Then they move their two cars into position in front of the target. Gang car number 1 then slams on its brakes. Gang car 2 reacts by braking hard, resulting in a rear-end shunt from the victim. Gang car 1 then turns off at the next possible turning, pretending to be unaware of the crash. The march of the crash for cash gangs isn't going unchecked. A specialist unit from the Metropolitan Police is determined to remove these fraudsters from our roads.
Any tactic that we can think of, we will use to catch these people.
One of the unit's most powerful tools is video surveillance.
Both vehicles now in the offside lane of 2.
It's September 2007. A crash for cash gang is being filmed on the A41. The gang is setting up a grocery van for a smash.
Yes, it's the offside lane towards the Mike 25. And
the gang didn't randomly pick the grocery van as a victim. They chose it because it's a fleet vehicle.
The reason for choosing a fleet vehicle is that they're insured, and that's what they're interested in. They're interested in whoever hits them is insured, so they can maximise their claim and not be worried about being run into by a non-insured driver.
The gang move in on the innocent van driver. Car number 1 is about to slam on its brakes, forcing car 2 to react.
Yes, it's the offside lane towards the Mike 25. And the infectious brake, yeah, got it. Yeah.
Car 1, the decoy, has driven off, leaving car 2 to make the claim against the innocent grocer.
Yeah, the lorry's now just gone into the back of the Jaguar.
And have obtained.
We have obtained.
We started looking at this organised criminal gang.
Asian male 1 now out of the vehicle, and the subject.
This smash was one of 3 claims the gang made, totalling £55,000. Thanks to the video evidence, they didn't keep a penny.
All 6 were convicted. The main ringleader receiving some 8 months imprisonment, and the remaining 5 2-year suspended sentences.
These fraudsters were off the roads, but the Met Traffic Unit is fighting a constant battle against crash for cash gangs. In the autumn of 2009, the unit discovered another crash gang, and once again a fleet vehicle was the target.
It involved three lads who decided to basically create a slam-on in front of a vehicle.
The blue car ahead is planning to execute a crash-for-cash manoeuvre. They're not using a decoy car and simply plan to surprise the driver of the fleet vehicle. The van driver falls into their trap.
The reason they stated for them to do an emergency stop was because there was a bus stop, and there was a bus at the bus stop, and there was a woman stepping off the bus onto the road, and that was the reason why they stopped.
But the fraudsters are out of luck, as the camera fitted to the fleet vehicle reveals the truth of the matter.
As you see on the footage, there is a bus stop, but there is no bus, and there certainly isn't a woman stepping onto the road. When I saw the evidence, I thought it was very audacious, and I was very surprised that someone could be so blatant just to slam on for no apparent reason in the middle of a busy junction on a busy road, with no regard whatsoever to the chaos that causes.
At Croydon Crown Court, all 3 occupants of the car were found guilty of fraud by false representation, and each sentenced to 3 months imprisonment. A satisfactory outcome for the owners of the fleet vehicle, online grocer Ocado.
Specifically targeting our drivers is very distressing for them. It feels a bit like being mugged. It also affects their professional pride in the job that they do. Where we believe there's a fraudulent crash, we will pursue it right through the court system. There's no debate about that at all. We'll take it all the way.
This sort of crime is probably a growing trend in this country now. If people go to prison, they might think twice about doing it.
Brake, 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 yeah.
There is absolutely the potential that a staged fraudulent accident can kill someone. There's no doubt about that. It's an accident, and it has all the same dangers as any other road accident.
A police unit raids the home of a suspected insurance fraudster.
Yeah, okay.
A corner shop in Barnsley gets torched.
She lied to her family, she's lied to her friends, and she lied to the police about what happened.
And a private investigator closes in on a shamed claimer.
During the footage, it clearly shows him going up 40, 50 feet high in order to get on a ride.
In the fight against the growing problem of insurance fraud, an elite police squad have come together to form IFED, the Insurance Fraud Enforcement Department.
Insurance fraudsters are hitting us in our pockets. That's not right. IFED have been set up to combat that problem, and we will do so by making arrests all over the country.
This dedicated team works tirelessly to bang up the crooks and con men getting rich off other people's money.
If you commit insurance fraud, there's every chance that IFED are going to come knocking on your door and bringing you to justice.
Police, don't move, stay where you are!
By April 2012, after only 6 months of operating, they had already busted 80 fraudsters, adding up to £12 million of fraud under investigation.
Insurance fraud is seen at the moment as an easy touch. IFED are setting out to stop that and make these organised crime groups think again.
IFED investigates every type of insurance fraud: personal injury, buildings, holiday, even pet insurance fraud. Fraudulent pet insurance claims rose from £420,000 in 2009 to £1.92 million in 2011, a nearly 5-fold increase over 2 years. Today, IFED is planning a raid on a suspect known to have a long track record of claiming against multiple insurance policies.
I've in fact dealt with her earlier this year about a number of cases, in fact 8 cases in total. This time when I arrest her, I'm going to have to be interviewing her about another 20 cases.
As well as making numerous home contents claims, she has submitted a large number of pet insurance claims with different insurers.
I'm just getting the paperwork together, and we're going to have to move quite quickly on this and arrest her sooner rather than later, because the claims keep on coming in.
On the raid, the IFED team will be keen to establish whether any of the supposedly deceased dogs are still alive.
We've got information to suggest there is one Chihuahua which is alive, but we think there might be other dogs there as well. We're also going to be looking for computers and telephones, and you know, for evidence of her applying for the insurance policies. It's hard to separate, you know, fact from fiction. She comes up with a whole lot of stories, so we're going to have to be careful with the way we deal with her.
The team members arrive outside the suspect's house. Not knowing what to expect, they leave nothing to chance and put on protective equipment.
Hello, Alex Cooley. Yeah, we met in January, didn't we? Do you want to take a seat? No, okay. Take a seat and I'll explain. I'm going to arrest you for a whole number of fake insurance claims.
With access to the property gained, T.I. Cooley explains to the suspects what they're looking for.
We need to look for evidence, basically to confirm what dogs you have, yeah, and to look for documentation to the insurance policies, okay? So, how many Chihuahuas? I saw one standing up.
Staffy type pit bull, so just go easy. He looks like he's ready to jump.
Yeah, okay. Your dog left.
To shut that door, I don't intend to search that.
We do need to get her to the police station as soon as practical. We're going to have a look and we're going to search the house for evidence relating to the insurance fraud.
Before taking the suspect into custody, the IFED team ask her to direct them to any documents relating to insurance.
Is there anything here that you can help us with to quicken our search? Any paperwork relating to those insurance claims?
What, the claims that's gone on already, or...?
Anything to do with insurance? Any claims?
I have no claims of these. You've got one.
Thank you. You just place it on there for us.
Sorry, yeah.
Anything like that.
The suspect is compliant. She shows the team where to find the paperwork it has come for.
If you just leave that there, we'll make details, we won't take you with us. Yeah.
Is there anything upstairs in your bedroom?
The suspect is taken into custody for further questioning, leaving IFED to search the whole house for evidence of multiple fraudulent pet insurance claims. IFED's search for evidence keeps running into little interruptions. Personal injury insurance exists to help us when, due to an accident, we are unable to work or need money for extra care. And like motor insurance, it's being abused by dishonest claimants. The number of personal injury claims received by insurers leapt 72% between 2002 and 2010, a figure that is set to rise. In 2007, this man was injured at work.
The claimant had been operating a burger van. He was mopping up at the end of the day, and somebody had collided with the rear of it, as a result of which he had sustained damage to both knees.
Due to his knee injuries, the burger van owner sought compensation. Stating that he was no longer able to work, he claimed for £425,000 in lost future earnings. On top of that, he made a further claim for adaptations to his property.
Shortly after the firm was instructed, we received a request for an interim payment to enable this guy to adapt his house to fit a through lift, a downstairs bathroom and a downstairs toilet, suggesting a very high level of disability indeed.
This was an unforeseen expense for the insurer, but before they paid out on any adaptations to the burger van owner's house, some information about the claimant was discovered.
Some medical evidence though emerged which suggested that he had convictions for fraud and dishonesty, as a result of which they became particularly interested in the possibility that this claim might be one that they should be looking at very hard.
The insurer was suspicious of the claimant. They decided to call in the help of a private investigator.
Insurers will sometimes commission surveillance when they believe that the injury which is being claimed does not support the level of damages which is beginning to emerge, and that was certainly the case here.
The nature of his work means the investigator needs to remain anonymous.
We specialise in surveillance as a company, and as a percentage, 75% of the surveillance we carry out is insurance fraud or insurance-related surveillance.
Due to an anonymous tip-off, the private investigator was instructed to film the claimant for a whole Sunday.
The solicitor was very keen for us to place the claimant under surveillance that particular weekend, so it was one Friday evening that I received a call on my mobile from the solicitor, and we dispatched a surveillance team. You know, it's very short notice for us to get the surveillance team and unit together and deployed out to the claimant's home address. He did come out of the house in the morning, seemed to be loading up and sorting out his car. Well, what unfolded was incredible, really.
The claimant was on a day trip to an amusement park. After buying himself a ticket, the private investigator entered the park and set about surveying the claimant.
We filmed him as and when it was possible. At the theme park, he was going on rides, and he did have a walking stick with him, but it didn't seem as though he was using it in a weight-bearing capacity.
The video evidence showed a man capable of walking without the aid of a stick and comfortably handling a fairground mallet.
Later on during the day, you know the strongman hammer, you bang it with a mallet and up it goes and you're trying to hit the bell. He was filmed using one of those. This is a guy who claims that he'll never be able to work again. He's totally restricted with his mobility and is in pretty well constant pain.
That day, his claim to need a stair lift and downstairs bathroom was also to be dispelled.
It's interesting that he claimed that he needed a ground floor bathroom and a stair lift. However, during the footage, it clearly shows him going up 40, 50 feet high in order to get on a ride.
The surveillance op filmed the claimant managing a 4-story ascent before shooting down an amusement ride.
At the end of the day, the camera does not lie, and you can't argue the case. The video footage clearly shows an individual who is exaggerating his symptoms. From the time he left his home address to going back after he'd been to the theme park, he was out for approximately 10 hours of the day.
In the face of such overwhelming evidence, the burger van owner had no choice but to accept a vastly reduced payout.
The result of all this was that a claim which was originally put at £800,000 settled for a very small fraction of that indeed. In addition to getting his small percentage of what he claimed, there was also a costs order against him. This is another case where I'd be very surprised if the claimant came out any better off than he went in.
I would say the general public would think, hang on a minute, I pay huge premiums for my motor insurance, for my household insurance, and they seem to be going up every single year, way above the rate of inflation. And the reason they're going up is because we have become a claim culture. This person's really exaggerating and they're defrauding the system. And as a result of these individuals, our claims are going through the roof.
Most business premises in the UK are insured against property damage. A sensible measure when you consider that in the UK in 2009, large-scale fire damage costs totalled £865 million. Shockingly, 40% of all fires at commercial premises are subsequently found to have been arson. Meet Sukhjit Kaur. She and her husband used to own D&S Super Save, a corner shop in Barnsley, South Yorkshire. D&S Super Save had been serving the needs of East Barnsley until a terrible event destroyed the family business.
It was 3:30 in the morning, the 9th of March 2010, when the police received a call from Mrs. Carr. Mrs. Carr was in a very hysterical state, and she was at a neighbour's address at the time. The neighbour took over the call, and the information was passed through the neighbour to the effect that 3 masked men had gone into Mrs. Carr's home address, held them knife point, her and her husband and a small child for a number of hours that had been held hostage at knife point, and just prior to leaving the address, the masked men set fire to the premises.
Her husband was also asked about the masked gang.
Mr. Singh maintained the same story, that 3 masked men had gone into the house, held them at knife point and set fire to the premises.
Sukhjit and her husband claimed to have been subjected to a frightening attack, lost their livelihood and nearly killed in their own home. Their neighbour Jean Kay was also affected by the fire.
The neighbour was very shook up. It was 3:30 in the morning. She was asleep in bed. She was awoken by the sound of an explosion, which was probably from aerosols within the store. When she woke, the house was smoke-filled. She did suffer from smoke inhalation, and she had to be taken to hospital for treatment. Had she not woke up, it could have been much more serious.
Having survived the ordeal, Mrs. Kaur informed her insurer of the event, submitting a claim for £166,000. With this payout, Sukhjit and her husband could rebuild their business. Their insurer began to process their claim, but soon hit a snag.
We discovered that she'd taken the policy out one day before the fire.
This coincidence raised the suspicion of the insurer, so they looked into the financial state of the couple. It didn't look good.
Mrs. Kaur told our loss adjuster that the business had been in financial difficulty for some years. They used to run a post office which went, and for the last 6-7 years they'd had great difficulty in surviving, and she'd borrowed lots of money from a local money lender. She didn't admit to the loss adjuster or to us exactly how much she owed, but we know, having done the background checks in terms of financial status, and this is in the public domain, that she owed up to, or she had CCJs to the value of £150,000.
With a business deeply in debt and a potential insurance payout of £166,000, the insurer had good reason to suspect Sukhjit and her husband were involved in the arson. So South Yorkshire Police brought her in for questioning.
When we first spoke to Mrs. Kaur, she broke down and told us that she was in a lot of debt and that she was involved. That led to her arrest, and she was formally interviewed at the police station. And it was during that interview that she confessed to being involved in setting the fire for the purpose of making an insurance claim.
Although she confessed to the crime, Sukhjit insisted the plan hadn't been her idea.
She owed a lot of money to the loan shark, and he wanted his money back. So what he suggested to her, put in a large insurance fraud. He would organise people to come into the shop at the dead of night and actually set the fire.
At Sheffield Crown Court, Sukhjit Kaur was sentenced to 5 years for conspiracy to defraud, later reduced to 4 years on appeal. For his part in the deception, her husband was sentenced to 3 years.
She had, of her own accord, managed to get herself into a lot of debt. She couldn't manage that debt. She could see no way out of that debt. She lied to her family, she's lied to her friends, and she lied to the police about what happened.
When we found out they'd been given custodial sentences, for us at Allianz it was a very pleasing outcome. It sends a message out that insurance fraud is no longer a victimless crime. There are victims, and you won't get away with it.
Today, the Insurance Fraud Enforcement Department, IFED, has raided the property of a woman suspected of multiple attempts of pet insurance fraud. She's been taken into custody, leaving the team to search her property for evidence. Her boyfriend has just arrived outside.
Oh, the boyfriend's here, right, okay. She's just with the female officer because we're going to be questioning her today in police station. Well, she was dealt with for a number of offences earlier in the year, as you know. Unfortunately, there are offences which have occurred more recently, and some going back over the last couple of years.
IFED resumes its search. Just like the suspect, her boyfriend proves to be helpful in the hunt for evidence.
Succeed.
The search for evidence spreads to the first floor of the property.
I'll take these two because they're just related to her identity documents.
You give that back an highway.
Yeah, she'll be entitled to everything back.
In less than an hour, the team has unearthed several bags of potential evidence relating to pet insurance claims. Making the search more complicated is the fact that the suspect goes under several aliases.
That's Mrs.
Do you missus?
Yeah.
Even after an hour, the team still isn't used to the smaller inhabitants of the house.
Oh, look around.
Who are you?
IFED has seen enough. It has a boot full of potential evidence, leaving the team confident of a conviction.
It is putting money on everyone's insurance policies because the fraud element is always taken into account by the insurers. So hopefully by arresting the suspect today, we'll make some small contribution towards turning things around, so that hopefully one day insurance premiums can start to come down.
If convicted of fraud, the suspect could face a punishing fine and a spell in prison.